I'm hosting a dinner party tomorrow night that's a bit different from my previous events. An old Army buddy of mine is retiring from the service, and we decided that a bourbon dinner was in order. This will be more formal and a bit bigger than my typical soiree. It calls for a feast for 10, executed with military precision, and without destroying the dress blues I'm supposed to be wearing. I plan to offer up a tasty but manageable one-pot meal. But Todd is one of my best friends, and this is a bourbon dinner after all. So the simple meal has ballooned into a full 5-course banquet, complete with champagne and appetizers, and 21 separate tasks to be performed in the last hour alone. And then there's the question of my beard. Maybe it'll be okay though, right? We'll be starting out with gougères, savory pastries made with choux pastry dough and Gruyere cheese, and we'll be serving them with tall cold flutes of champagne. Our first course is Little Gem salad with lemon vinaigrette, shallots, and champagne vinegar, and roasted walnuts marinated in walnut oil and a bit of salt add a whole new dimension to this salad. For the main course, I'll be breaking out the Dutch oven for Boeuf Bourguignon, a French classic from the Burgundy region. This dripping beef stew is rich and delectable. With the entree, I'll be serving roasted duck fat potatoes. The duck fat elevates the humble potato in this dish to a divine, crisp-skinned treasure. I made pain de campagne in the last episode and realized the hearty baguette would be great for this meal too. Made with just enough whole wheat dough to give the crumb a chewy texture of its own and a crunchy crust. This tasty loaf will soak up the beef juices perfectly. Befitting the occasion, we'll be serving an elegant cheese course with our meal, pecorino toscano, with roasted sweet peppers and arugula coulis. You haven't had a cheese dish until you've tried this one from the French Laundry cookbook. Finally, for dessert, I'm staying with the French Laundry for scrumptious strawberry sorbet shortcakes with sweetened creme fraiche sauce. I had to start preparing this one 2 days ago with the making of the creme fraiche. I completed the components today, but won't assemble this delicate last course until we've finished our cheese course. Ooh, what a way to finish a meal. It's Friday morning, the day before the dinner party, and I'm about to start the advanced preparations. A good friend of mine very graciously gave me a cast iron Dutch oven. It's in pretty good shape. We're going to start with the beef bourguignon, and the first step of that is to put this Dutch oven on the stove top at medium-low heat. We're going to start with 10 ounces of pancetta. Traditionally, lardon is used in this dish, but I couldn't find any in the stores in this area, so I'm going with pancetta. You can also use bacon, although that might impart a slightly smokier flavor. So what we're going to do is brown this pancetta for about 15 minutes, medium-low heat. While the stovetop is warming up, we'll go ahead and slice the carrots and the onions. So let's put the pancetta into the pot. We want to finely chop these onions. The onions are going to go in with the carrots, and we'll be heating those up after the pancetta is done. And there we have the chopped onions and sliced carrots. All right, the pancetta has been frying for about 19 minutes, so let's check it. Yeah, that's done. The fat is mostly rendered out. And that's what the pancetta looks like. And now we're going to turn the stovetop up to medium high and turn on the blower there. And we're going to preheat the oven to 350. Last night I cut the beef chuck up into 2-inch chunks, and we're going to brown these for about 15 minutes. The fat has started to smoke, so that means it's time to put the beef in. We're going to put this in a single layer. The meat is almost done browning, and what we're going to do next is saute the carrots and the onions with about a half a teaspoon of salt for about 10 minutes. I've turned the heat down to medium-low on the stovetop, and I'm going to now add the carrots and the onions. The onions are just about done, so the next step is to add 2 teaspoons of tomato paste and 4 minced garlic. We're going to go about a minute with those. Then we're going to add the flour to that to thicken it up a little bit. Then we're going to add the 2 bottles of wine, a couple thyme sprigs, and a couple bay leaves. Yeah, that looks done. And now we'll go with the garlic and the tomato paste. And we're going to stir that in for about a minute. Just those few ingredients just smell delicious. All right, let's add the flour in there, and we'll stir that in for about a minute as well. Beef bourguignon is not what I would call a sophisticated dish, but it's very rich, very hearty, and very tasty. And the reason I'm cooking it today rather than the day of the dinner is, first, I got a lot of things to do tomorrow. But second, and more importantly, it tastes better if you let it sit overnight and all those flavors mix and meld together. All right, in goes the thyme and the bay leaves and 2 bottles of wine, red wine. I'm using a Cabernet for this. I'm going to add back to the pot now 1/2 of the pancetta, and we're saving the other half for tomorrow. And I'm also adding the beef back into it. That fills the pot very nicely. The bourguignon has come to a simmer, so I'm now going to put the top on and put it in the oven at 350 for about an hour and a half. And next we'll turn to the gougères. I've got 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of milk, 4 tablespoons of butter cut up into 1 tablespoon increments, and a large pinch of coarse salt. And what we're going to do is bring that to a boil. Over medium heat. The milk mixture is now boiling, so I'm going to put a cup of flour into it. I've lowered the temperature to low, and we're going to stir it until it's pulling away. The dough is pulling away from the sides of the bowl. All right, you can see how that is looking now. And we're going to go ahead and dump that into the mixing bowl of our stand mixer. We're going to let it cool in the bowl for about a minute or so. And then I'm going to beat in 4 eggs, one at a time, and I'm going to make sure that they're thoroughly incorporated before beating the next one in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start beating the eggs into the dough. Now I'm going to incorporate a pinch of nutmeg and a pinch of pepper into this, as well as 3½ ounces of Gruyere cheese. Oh, that's looking pretty good. And I've got a pastry bag here I'm going to put on a 1½ inch tip. And we're going to scoop the dough into that. What we're going to do is squeeze out. Okay, Google, cancel timer. Before we do that, let's pull the beef bourguignon out of the oven. Let's take a look at that. Whoa. We're going to let that cool. Back to the gougere. Then we're going to sprinkle some cheese, more Gruyere cheese, over the top and bake it for about 22 minutes. And I've preheated the oven. It's set at 400. The gougere have been in the oven about 22 minutes, and let's take a look. Those look done. And we're going to let these cool on racks. Gougere.
Sorry, I can't help with that yet.
I'm sure you can.
Really, thanks.